Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make part 1 of Charlotte's Universe. I'm making my Charlotte using Scheepjes stone-washed yarn, and exactly which color I'm using for which round you can find on my blog. A link is in the video description. Charlotte's Universe is designed by Deidre Ice from Look at What I Made, and again a link to the pattern is also in the video description. I'll take you through the process of making part 1. This is the square, and I'll show you that round by round. However, in the video that you'll be seeing, you'll see a different colorway than this square. You'll see this version of Charlotte. So this first square, I've made that in a different yarn and a different colorway. This is the one that I've made in the Secret Garden yarn. So you'll see the purple and the pink yarns in the video, but it's exactly the same pattern. So I'll show you how to make the first part of Charlotte's Universe. There's a left and a right-handed video available. Again, the link to the other video is also in the video description. Thank you for watching, and let's get started. Round 1. Pattern asks to start with a magic circle. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a chain 4 and then close with a loop. If you want to, please do make a magic circle. The reason why I'm doing the chain 4 and then close is because I find that it's just less of a risk that everything will come undone. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 chain stitches and then close to the first chain stitch with a slip stitch. So now we're at the same point again. If you've made a magic loop, you're also at this point. I'm going to do a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This chain 5 counts as a first treble and your chain 1. Because what we're going to be doing is going to be doing chain 1 in between trebles. So the first 4 is a treble, and then the 1 is your next chain 1. In this space, in your magic loop, or here in the center of this little circle, you see in that space there, I'm going to work a treble. So I need to go twice over, and take off 1, 2, 3 times. So that's your treble and chain 1. I'm going to do this 11 times. So this was once, 2 times over again, and another treble, chain 1. So that's 2 times. Show you one more time, twice over, and then take off 2 loops, and 2 loops, and 2 loops. It's another treble and a chain 1. I'm going to do a few more of these until you have 11 of them, plus then of course your initial chain 5, which will bring the total to 12. The last treble and chain 1. If you now look, you can see you've got 12 of them. If you also count that first chain 5, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 trebles and chain 1s in between. So I just also did that chain 1 there, so the treble and the chain 1. Now close here on the 4th chain stitch. So you see you've got 5, that last one is for a chain 1. So you close on the 4th one with a slip stitch. I'm going to use the same color for round 2. For round 2, currently in here in that chain 4, we're going to go to the chain 1 space with a slip stitch. There you go. going to make a single crochet in here. So chain 1 to get you to the correct working height, then a single crochet in the same chain 1 space, chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and then go to the next chain 1 space and work a single crochet in there. And this you're going to repeat all the way around. So chain 4 and then a single crochet in the next chain 1 space. Then again chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and a single crochet in the next chain space. Chain 4 and a single crochet in the next chain space. And this you're going to repeat all the way around. Chain 4, a single crochet, and this is the last chain 1 space before here's the single crochet where we started with. So we now still need to do chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and then close on this first single crochet here, that first one you made. Close on there with a slip stitch. There you go. You can now cut your yarn and then work away your tails. Round 3. Got a new color yarn on my hook with a slip knot, and this is the color that you want for your flower petals. That's the color I've got here. I want this nice deep purple color. I'm going to start with a standing double crochet in any chain 4 space, so it doesn't matter which space you choose. I'm going to yarn over on my hook, then hold on to that into a chain 4 space. This doesn't matter, just choose one. Make a standing double crochet. To follow that by 2 more double crochets in the same space, and 2. So now you've got 3 double crochets in that chain 4 space. Chain 2, and then move on to the next chain 4 space, and again work 3 double crochets in there. That's 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. Chain 2, move on to the next space, again 3 double crochets, and this you're going to repeat all the way around. You're going to do 3 double crochets in every chain 4 space with chain 2s in between. So here again, chain 2, then you're onto your next chain 4 space, and again work 3 double crochets in there. It's 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. You can see I've already done quite a few now. Just going to continue, chain 2, and go all the way around. Just working the last 3 double crochets in the last chain 4 space. There you go. Now before closing to the first stitch, chain 2, so don't forget this, it can be easy to forget. And now close on the first double crochet. Here you see the double crochet in that stitch there at the top. Just close in there with a slip stitch. There you go. And that completes round 3. Round 4, I'm going to start with a chain 2. And this chain stitch does not, these chains are not a stitch, so they don't count for anything. What we're going to do is around the double crochets we have here, all our double crochets, we're going to be working 2 front post double crochets. So to make a front post, yarn over, then around the post of that double crochet from right to left, pick up your yarn and complete the double crochet as normal. And you want to work 2 around every double crochet. Again, also around the post of the second. You're kind of going to stack them in front of one another. So those are the first 2. Then move on to the next one. And again, around the post work a double crochet. So 1, and around the same post work a second. This is going to give you that very full flower pattern. And the third one. 1 and 2. Again, you can see they maybe look a little lopsided, but this is all going to be fine at the end. Chain 1. And that's to move on to the next group. See here, your next group of 3 double crochets. So again, work 2 front post double crochets around all of those. So yarn over, front post, this 1 and 2. Then again, also on the next one, 1 and 2, and then also on the last one, and there we go, 1 and 2, and chain 1. And then you can move on to the next group. So this you're going to do all the way around. You can see everything's kind of a bit starting to wobble. Now don't worry about that, that will all be fine at the end. So I'm going to do 3 on each group of 3 double crochets. Going to do 2 front post doubles and then a chain 1 in between. So this little bit here, so chain 1, 2 front post doubles around that one, and that one, and then again a chain 1. Do that all the way around, then I'll just see you here at the end for the last bit, just to show you how to do the join. Just done all of these front post double crochets. You can also see that I've done them on the last 3 stitches here. Chain 1. Now we're going to close on the first double crochet. You see you've got here that chain 2, you don't want that one. You've got these 2 front post double crochets that you made around the first one here. So that first front post double crochet, that's the stitch you want. To close in there with a slip stitch. If I can just, yes, get it through. At this point you can cut your yarn, open up, and then work away these yarn tails. To give you an idea what it looks like, it is slightly wobbly at this point. It looks like you've got too many stitches. Don't worry about that, that will all be fine. If you just look towards the back, you'll see here's that ridge. Because you did all the front post stitches, you're going to have this ridge here to the back of your work. Again, that's also what you want. So this is what it looks like at the moment. Work away your yarn tails and then you're ready for the next round. Round 5. I've got a new color yarn on my hook with this slip knot. We're going to start with a standing double crochet, and you're just going to have to pull your flower petals slightly apart, because that space here is what we want. You're going to work over that chain 2 here from round 3, that is, I believe, and the chain 1 here from round 4. So over all of those, so both of those you're going to take together in one go. So we're going to start again with a standing double crochet, then go into that space and grab everything you have there and work a double crochet. As you can see, so both the, let me just fashion that a bit because I want them to be, there we go. So both the chain 4, the loop from row 3 and from row 4, so both of those chain spaces you're going to grab together. Then a second one in there also, second double crochet, going to have 2 double crochets next to one another. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's skipping the flower petal, so the entire petal, so that's this bit here. You're going to skip that and then go to your next chain space here, and again going to work over both of these. You see I'm working over the one from round 3 and from round 4, over them, bringing them together, and then complete the double crochet. You're going to work 2 double crochets, and you see what's happening, and I'm not happy with how that first one looks at all, so let me just, there we go, that's better. So what you're doing is you're framing these flower petals between the double crochets, and then you need a chain 4 to go from one position to the next. So again here work 2 double crochets in that space. So 1 and 2, and again chain 4, 4, and then work another double crochet in that space. And this you're going to repeat all the way around, working 2 double crochets in the spaces over the chains from the previous 2 rounds. You're going to go this all the way around, and you've just done your last here, those last 2 double crochets, chain 4, and then close on your first standing double crochet with a slip stitch. You can then cut your yarn, and I'll see you for the next round. Round 6, I have a new color yarn on my hook. Actually it's the same color as the petals. What we're going to be doing is we're going to do a front post double crochet around each and every front post double crochet from 2 rows down. And what's very important, we're going to be working in front of this grey network that we did in the previous round. So make sure that that's well out of the way. We're going to be working in front of this network. I'm going to do a yarn over and then start on the first one, and that first one might always be slightly hidden behind this these 2 double crochets, because you see here this is a group of 6 stitches, so be sure to grab that first one also. You can see that's this stitch here. Do a front post double crochet around that, and my first one is of course a standing front post double crochet. Then go to the next. That's 2, and here's 3, 4, 5, 5, and the last one here, 6. You see how I'm really folding these chain 4 spaces to the back. You want to have them like that open to the end, because you're going to need them later on. And this you're going to repeat on all of these groups. So I'm going to be working in batches of 6, because then you know that you don't accidentally skip one. So I've now worked 6 front post double crochets on this first group. So now I'm going to go to the second group. So you're skipping also these 2 double crochets that you have in there from round 5. Going to go here, and again that first one can be a bit hard to see, so that's also why it's a good idea to work in batches of 6 stitches, because then you don't accidentally skip that first one. So this is then number 2, and then there's 3, that's number 5, and here number 6. So that's my second batch of stitches. I'm going to go to the third batch over here. Just show you the first one again. So the first one is again slightly hidden by everything that's happening here, so I know that's the second one, so there has to be another stitch here. There it is. So then that's again the first one. So that's where you're going to work a front post double crochet on each and every one of those stitches, and be sure that your chain spaces and your double crochets from round 5, that they are well out of the way. So everything that you're doing is going to be in front here. Go all the way around and then close on your first stitch here with a slip stitch. When you're at the end of round 6, your work will look like this. It will be very wobbly, also because it's on top of these stitches from round 5. So your work will also wobble. It'll seem as though you have too many stitches. So don't worry about this. This will all be fine as we build our square more and more. Round 7. This round we're going to start to bring our petals back together again. So because you're now at the widest point, and now we're going to start making them slimmer again. You're currently in that first front post double crochet there with a slip stitch. Do a chain 2. This does not count as a stitch, it's just to get you to the good working height. I'm going to start by making a front post double crochet 2 together around the first 2 stitches. I'm going to yarn over, then around that first front post double, start to work a front post double again. Take off the first 2 loops and stop. Then we're going to go to the second one, again yarn over, and again a front post, pick up from the back and take off 2 loops. At this point you've got 3 loops on your hook from those 2 double crochets, and your starting loop. You're going to take them all off in one go. You've next 2 double crochets again on this, because we're going to work per group of 6. So these next 2 double crochets, work a double crochet on each of those. A front post double crochet on each of those. There we go. So 1 and 2. In the last 2 double crochets of this group of 6, these last 2 front posts, I'm going to again work a front post 2 together. So yarn over, around the first post, take off 2 loops, yarn over, go around that second post, take off 2 loops, 3 loops on your hook, and take them all off. You can see how you've now made that first petal just a little bit slimmer, because you've reduced at the beginning and at the end. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's to bring you to your next flower petal. And everything that you've just done, this set here, starting with the front post 2 together up until the chain 3, I'm going to do this 12 times in total. I'm going to show you one more time. The first 2 stitches, again a front post double crochet 2 together. So that's the first half, the front of the 2 together. Again yarn over and around that second post, take off 2 loops, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. The center 2 stitches, I'm going to do a front post double around both of those. So that's 1 and 2. your last 2 stitches of this group of 6, again a front post 2 together. That's the first one. Again, yarn over and around the second post and take them off. Chain 3, 2, 3, and now you can go to the next series here. You can see how you're building this flower petal, how it's going to, in the next round we're going to make it slimmer still. So repeat this, what I've now done 2 times with you. Do this 10 more times all the way around. You're going to do here your last petal, then a chain 3 and close on your first double crochet 2 together. So not the chain 2 but the 2 together stitch. Round 8, we're going to be working in the same color in this round as you did here. So this frame here to the back, going to use the same color. But before I actually start, I'd just like to show you where we're going to be working. If you look here to the back, you see these double crochets here. These 2 double crochets, they're from round 5, I believe. We're going to be working between those 2, so in there. But you're going to work in there, and you're going to be covering the stitches from your flower petals, so from round 6 and 7. So you've got the chain 3 space from round 7, and you've got kind of this natural space here between the petals from round 6. So it's not an actual chain space or anything, but that's just kind of that natural opening. So what you're going to be doing, you're going to be putting your hook through all of this and then work into that space that's between the double crochets. You're going to grab all of this together like so, and then work your double crochets. That's what we're going to be doing. Now, so with a slip knot on my hook, I'm going to do those first double crochets. To yarn over on my hook, just keep a hold of that, to do the first standing double crochet. Now what's important is these double crochets have to be reasonably tight, so really do a bit of effort to get your stitch tight. You can see how I'm going through between those 2 stitches from round 5 and over everything from round 6 and 7. So it's quite a big bunch of stitches here. I'm really doing effort to pull all of this tight. That's your first double crochet. You can see how it's worked there in the back and over everything. Now do this a second time, so next to it I'm going to do a second double crochet, and again try to keep that bottom loop a little tight because you want this petal to really be able to shape well. Now, those are your first 2 double crochets. Chain 4, 3, 4, and go to your next space. So again, working over these stitches from round 6 and 7, so go underneath them, and then here between, you really want to go between those 2 stitches, so between the posts there. Pull up a loop and work a double crochet, and work a second one next to it. And there you go. And you may have to help and just fashion a little bit here and there. This is our repeat unit. This we're going to do all the way around. So let me show you once more. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go to your next space between the petals, yarn over, under everything from round 6 and 7, and then go between the posts from round 5, so between those 2 stitches there at the back, bring up and work 1 double crochet, and that second one is always easier because you've already got that shape made. And repeat this all the way around. When you get here, you're going to do a chain 4 and then close on your first standing double crochet, so on that on this little stitch here. So you're going to do those last 2 double crochets, then you need to do 1 more chain 4 and then close there. At the end of round 8 your work looks like this, but you'll also notice that it's a bit high design, because you've got these stitches here to the back. If I show you what it looks like from the back, these stitches kind of give a real three-dimensional effect to this. It's this very thick pattern. So if I have it on the table, the flower petals are actually raised from the table. Now that's normal, that's perfectly fine if your work looks like that. So we're going to continue in round 9 and make our flower petals even bigger. Round 9, I've got a slip knot on my hook in the same color as my flower petal. What we're going to be doing for this round: in the last time we worked the petals, we made double crochets 2 togethers. Remember these front post double crochets 2 togethers? So you've now got 4 stitches on each petal. You've here got the double crochet 2 together, double crochet, and the 2 together again. Everything front post. We're going to begin doing 2 togethers around the first 2 stitches and then around the last 2 stitches. I'll show you step by step. The first one is of course going to be a standing stitch, so I'm going to yarn over, and then the first stitch you're going for is the front post 2 together. You already have that first stitch, and then around that entire stitch, because remember this is a reasonably big volume stitch, so around that entire thing start the double crochet front post, then yarn over and go to the next stitch, which is a regular front post double crochet, and here do that first half of a double crochet. 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. Moving on to the last 2 series of last 2 stitches, you're going to do the same thing. Yarn over, around that first stitch, work the first half of a front post double crochet, then yarn over and go for this double crochet 2 together, again through the entire stitch. So this is a rather big volume again. Take off those first 2 loops, 3 loops on your hook, and take them all off. So what you've done is you've now worked 2 stitches, this front post double crochet 2 together and this front post double crochet 2 together, and by doing so you're really making the tip of the flower petals. Chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and then move on to your next flower petal, where we're going to be doing exactly the same thing. So I'll show you again. Yarn over, this is the first double crochet 2 together there, so you're going to start by making the first leg on that stitch, then again yarn over and go to the double crochet that's next to it, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. Moving on to the next 2 stitches, again a front post 2 together. That's the first stitch, yarn over, and here again around that entire stitch, which is a rather big volume stitch, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off, and chain 4, 2, 3, 4. Move on to your next flower petal. Show you once more, maybe a little bit faster, and then repeat this all the way round, and then your last chain 4, and you can close on your first standing stitch with a slip stitch. You can cut your yarn, work away your tails, Sorry, that went out of focus. Work away all your tails, and then you're ready for the next round. You can see how I've now worked these 3 flower petals here. Going to go all the way around. You get here, you work your last flower petal, chain 4, and then close on this first stitch. Round 10. I've got the same color yarn on my hook as I have to the back here, so those rounds. I'm going to start by making a standing double crochet between these 2 double crochets you have here, so in between there, and at the same time working over the chain 4 space from round 9. So I'm going to be doing that all at the same time. So yarn over, underneath the chain 4 space, in between the 2 double crochets, make a standing double crochet. That's the first stitch, and we're going to be making 4 more because you want 5 double crochets between those 2 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and let me get a bit more yarn, and then here number 5. You might just want to fashion that all a little bit. I'm not exactly happy with how this all looks. Let me just move this a little bit. So you've got 5 double crochets there between the 2 petals, so really in between those 2 double crochets from the back. Chain 2 and move on to your next position, and then work 5 double crochets between the stitches, so not in the top of the stitch but really between those 2. You see if you can, they're in that space between the 2 stitches, over your chain 4 space. Work first off 5 double crochets. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, chain 2 and move to your next position and repeat. This you're going to repeat all the way around. Work 5 double crochets between the stitches from 2 rows down, working over the chain 4 space, and when you get to your last petal, going to work those 5 double crochets. There you go. So when you work the last one here, going to work the 5 double crochets, then chain 2 and close here on your first standing double crochet. Round 11. In this round we're completing the flower petals. If you look at your flowers, you'll see you have 2 stitches left, these 2 front post 2 togethers. We're going to be making a front post 2 together around those 2. So yarn over on my hook to start the first double crochet around those first 2, so that around that 1 stitch that of course has these 2 legs. Do the first half of the double crochet 2 together, and then go to the second one and do the same. 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. Chain 6, that's to go to the next flower petal. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's quite a long chain then, and go to your next flower petal. Do the same on the first stitch. Do the first leg of a double crochet 2 together, and then go around the second stitch, again a front post double crochet 2 together, take them both off. This is your repeat unit. I'm going to do this all the way around. So again, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go to your next flower petal, around the first stitch, and then also around the second stitch, and then take them all off and chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So repeat that. You see how you're making these flower petals. Repeat this all the way around. After you've done these last 2 stitches, you've worked that double crochet 2 together, chain 6, and then close on this first stitch here. When you've completed round 11, you see here all these chain stitches. What you'll notice is that your work kind of bulges, especially if you fold these chain stitches a bit down, actually where they're supposed to be. Then you'll really notice that your work forms a cup. If I try to get this like this, you'll see it makes a cup. Now don't worry about that. That will flatten itself out a little bit more as the pattern grows, but you'll always have just a little bit of that raised effect. You see there, that little bit raised? That will always remain present in the design. So don't think you've done something wrong if you think, okay, it's bulging like crazy. Don't stress, you're fine. We're just going to continue with round 12, and as it grows bigger and bigger, this cup will flatten itself out a little bit. Round 12. This round you're going to be working in front of the chain spaces, these chain 6 spaces. So contrary to previous rounds, we want to leave these free. Remember, in the previous rounds we always worked over them, so now be sure to actually leave them undone. What we're going to do is going to be working in these stitches from round 10. I'm going to start by making a standing half double crochet in the first stitch here from round 10. So we have these 5 double crochets. In that first one, start with a standing half double crochet. And yes, make a second double crochet in the same stitch, a half double crochet. Standing half double followed by a second half double. You can see how this chain space is to the back, so be sure that's to the back. On the next 3 stitches, work a single crochet in each. 1, 2, 3. The 4th stitch, the 5th stitch is this last one. Going to work 2 half doubles in there, so that's double crochet number 5. Work 2 half doubles in there. We're now going to move over the petal, the flower petal. What we're going to do is we're going to be framing this flower petal, and we're going to be doing that by making a front post double treble around the stitches from round 8. So if you look here, you see these 5 are from round 10, and you've made them between 2 double crochets here from round 8. Now these are the stitches we're going to be using. We're first going to be doing a double treble front post around this one here. It's from round 8. And then we're going to come back and do it on the beginning side around that stitch there. So we're first going to frame it on the left of the petal and then come back and do it on the right hand side. So if your left hand is the other way around, so it means you're going to start the furthest away from you. So let me show you what we mean. It's a front post double treble. So double crochet, treble crochet, double treble crochet. So do 3 times yarn over. Then come to that stitch from round 8 and really around the post of that stitch. Hook up, pick up a loop, and then take off 2 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I'm going to do the same on the beginning here on the right hand side. It's 1, 2, 3 times over, and then come back. You might have to fold your work, just get around that stitch properly there. Just get around it. Oh, there, I've just hooked part of the purple. You don't want that, so just around the stitch. There we go. Around that stitch. I'll show you again, so don't worry. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you see how everything frames this flower petal. You see there? That's what we're doing. This is your repeat unit. I'm going to show you this all one more time, so don't worry. Moving on to these stitches from row 10 again, being sure you're in front of the chain space. Work 2 half doubles in the first stitch, followed by 3 single crochets, 1 on each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. On the last stitch here, again work 2 half doubles. And 2. Now we're again going to do these front post trebles we've done here. So first on the far side and then on the near side. First there, let's yarn over 3 times. It's 1, 2, 3 times over. And you see here the post, now this one is easier. Around that post, take off 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how it's connected to the post there. Then again on the other side, 3 times over. Come back, folding your work really around that post. Be sure not to snag any of the other stitches or loops or anything there. Around that post. And then it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. And then that frames the second petal here. While working these front post double trebles, you see how much attention I'm paying to keeping these top stitches as small as possible, because you don't want those loops to be too big. So try to keep attention to that. You saw how tight I was working those loops. I'll show the repeat one more time, but this is what you're going to be doing all the way around. So on the first stitch from round 10, work 2 half doubles. So 1 and 2. Then work 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Then 2 half doubles again. 1 and 2. And now I'll show you the front post trebles, double trebles one more time. So 3 times yarn over, around the post of that stitch from round 8, the one that's closest to you, but on the other side of the petal. And you see I'm going to really keep this loop here, as this first loop, as small as I possibly can. So keep all of this as tight as I can. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 times. And again 1, 2, 3 times over. Then come back to the beginning side of the petal, around that stitch, hook up, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Just going to open this up a bit, then can show you what it looks like. And that is your the third framing that we've done. You're going to continue this, do this on all your petals. Here at the end you're still going to do this last set of front post double trebles, and then close here on your first stitch with a slip stitch. So in there. Going to use the same color for the next round, so don't cut your yarn when you've closed there with a slip stitch. So go around, take your time on working these front post double trebles. You really want these to be as neat as you can because they give a lovely effect to the pattern. Round 13. This round we're going to be doing single crochets. Currently in that first half double there with a slip stitch. So that's where we started the previous round. To do a chain one, this does not count as a stitch. And then in the same position, so in that half double, okay, I've just missed it, there we go, in that half double, make a single crochet in there. There we go. Single crochet then in the next 2 stitches also. So the first one is the second half double, and then the second one is the first of the 3 single crochet stitches you have here. As you can see, you now have these 3 single crochets, and you've worked on the first one, you've now worked a single crochet. Now we're going to start our repeat unit. We're going to start it here on the second stitch. So you've got these 3 singles there. On that second single crochet, the one that's in the middle, I'm going to work 2 single crochets in the 1 stitch. That's 1 and 2. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to mark the second of those 2 single crochets. So this is the one that I just made. I'm just going to mark it. So then, because this we're going to be needing in the next round for when we're making the square. So that's why I'm going to mark that stitch. So this is the this is going to be a corner, I believe. So we've just now done 2 single crochets in the 1 stitch. Continue and make 8 single crochets, 1 on each stitch. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is number 8. And number 8 should again be on the first of these 3 single crochets you have here. This is your repeat unit. So these 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, then mark the stitch and work 8 singles. This you're going to do all the way round. Just show you the start of the repeat once more. In the next stitch, which should be the second of those 3 that you work together, in those 3 next to one another, I'm going to work 2. I'm just again going to mark this stitch. I'm actually not completely sure whether or not we need all of these, but I'm just going to mark them, and then I'll see in the next round whether or not I needed them. So that's the second single crochet, and then again do 8 singles on the next 8 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3. You see here 4 and 5 are on those 2 double trebles you made, and because you've twisted these 2, especially that second one, be sure that you're working them in the correct order. So you just work them as you get to them. So you're actually first working this one that's here on the bottom, and then the second one is the one that's on the top. So also work them in the right order. Don't go and do try to work them the other way around. Just work the stitches as you come across them. And then the 2 half doubles both get a single crochet, and then the single crochet. Number 8 is again in the first of those 3 you have next to one another there. This is your repeat unit. I've now done it twice, going to do it all the way around, and here on your last repeat you're of course going to have to just a few stitches less, because you already have those 2 that you made from the start of the round. So go all the way around, and when you come to your first stitch, just close there with a slip stitch. Round 14. This is an important round because in this round we're going to be making the corners for the square. And also, if this is a round where you've made a mistake, it's a good idea to just pull it out and do it again. So we are currently in the single crochet here, just a few stitches before the marked stitch. First going to do a few stitches and then we'll start the repeat unit. Chain 1, this does not count as a stitch. Then a single crochet in the same stitch as where you just have the slip stitch join. A single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and then number 4 brings you to the first marked stitch. I'm just going to take that out, and 4. So you now have 5 single crochets, and the last one fell in a marked stitch position. Now we're going to start our repeat unit. Half double crochet on the next stitch, then followed by a double crochet on the next 2. So 1 and 2, and a treble on the next 2, so that's twice over, and then a treble, so 1, twice over, and 2. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you're going to skip 4 stitches, and if everything went right, the next stitch should be the marked stitch. So this should be stitch number 5. So let's just double check that. So I'm going to skip 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. Then stitch number 5 is the marked stitch. You're going to go in there and make a slip stitch. Going to remove the stitch marker, so this way the stitch markers can just going to help you to get the spacings right. So you skipped 4 stitches and made a slip stitch in stitch number 5. Chain 13. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is a very long chain of stitches, 13 chain stitches. And you're going to come back and make a slip stitch in the same position. So you already have a slip stitch in there, so in that same position, make another one. You can see how you've now made that loop there. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 4 stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on stitch number 5 we're going to make a, let me just check the pattern, yes, a treble, so that's twice over, skip 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and then make a treble. That's 1, 2, 3. It's 1 treble. I'm going to make 2 of them. followed by a double crochet and a second double crochet, and then a half double in the next stitch, of course. There you go. That's the half double. We're now going to work a series of single crochets. Now the next stitch is a marked stitch, and our single crochets are going to start and finish on a marked stitch. I'm just going to remove the stitch marker. So this is just a reference point, just a checkpoint for you. The next stitch is going to work a single there, and that's going to be the first of 11. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is number 10, and number 11, that's going to be the next one, is again in a marked stitch. So that's again a checkpoint for me that everything is still correct, because this round you really want your stitches to be in the right place. Now I've done 11 single crochets, and this is, I'm also now at the end of the repeat unit of the corner. So I'm now going to start the next corner here. We've kind of, this here is kind of the middle. So everything that we've just done, starting from the half double, and then the 2 doubles, and then the 2 trebles, and these loops, and everything up until this last single crochet, going to do that on the other 3 corners also. When you get to your first stitch here, just close on that stitch with a slip stitch. You can cut your yarn because we're going to be starting in a different position for the next round. At the end of row 14, your work should look like this. And what's important to just double check is the position of your corners. The chain 13 loops, these are your actual corners, and they must be exactly in the middle between 2 flower petals that you made a few rows back. So if that's the case, then everything's fine. You see this is all aligned, and if you were, while you were doing your repeats, you'd every time fall into those marked stitches, then you're most probably fine, then everything's okay. But if you see that things are here, I'm not lining up like this, but just, for example, a little bit more like this or more like that, then just take out this round and just do it again, because it's really going to be the best for your work if this lines up perfectly. So just take a moment to just double check that everything's aligned on your corners beautifully in the middle of these 2 flower petals. If that's the case, perfect. Let's continue. Round 15, I've got the same color yarn on my hook as that we've been working on, but you just need to cut it and start again, because we're going to start in any chain 13 loop. So any one of these loops, doesn't matter which one you choose. So let's just take this one. And we're going to work a corner in here. Start by making a standing half double crochet and try to make it here at the tip. So don't do it here, but work it here, because the corner, we're going to make a few stitches and they're all supposed to be at the far side. So try to get it as a little bit in this vicinity here. So we start by making a standing half double crochet in that chain 13 loop, followed by 3 single crochets in the same loop. So that's 1, 2, 3 single crochets, then chain 2, followed by 3 more single crochets, and trying to keep everything straight, seeing that my chain is turning a bit. 2, 3 single crochets and a half double. Now this is your new corner, and what you want is you want this to actually also form the corner. So I'm just going to open this up for a moment. I'm just going to pull this through a bit. Just move these stitches about a bit until the chain 2, that's that chain 2 there, is nicely in the middle of this chain 13. There you go. That looks actually rather reasonable. Yeah. So I'm just moving all these stitches to get your chain 2 to really line up. If you have this as a line, you really want that, so not like, you know, the skew thing I had just now. So I've moved everything up a little bit. So what you now have here, you've got a half double, you've got 4 single crochets, the chain 2, 4 singles, and the half double, all in this one chain 13 loop. That's your corner. Just pick up my yarn again, continue, and now we're going to work along this edge. We're going to work single crochet stitches. Start with a chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip the loop that's here and then start in the first stitch, that's this treble here. Going to work a single crochet in this stitch and every stitch across also. Especially this first one, because it's connected to a chain space, can be kind of hard to see. You see there, that's the loop, that's the top of the stitch, that's what you're going for. And that's the first single crochet of 21. So that's 1, 2, 3. It's going to bring you to the other side. 4, stitch number 20. And then number 21 should be the last stitch before you get to this corner series of chain stitches again. So that's number 21. So you can see how you now worked that edge there. Just going to show you the corner once more. Chain 3, 2, 3. And then in the chain 13 space, and here we're again going to work that corner. That's a half double in there. If I can just get it done. There you go, a half double. Then 3 singles. 1, 2, 3 singles. Chain 2. 1, 2, 3 singles again in the same space. 2, 3 singles and a half double in that same space. Just going to open this up and just fashion it again a bit, because it's always, you can see it's just a little skew here. I just want this really nicely aligned in the center, and it's not that difficult. I just need to help it a little bit. There, that looks actually reasonable. When I've done the, this entire round, I'm just going to check this again, see if I'm still happy with the way it looks. Maybe I'll adjust it a little bit more then again. Just to get you started on the first stitch again, chain 3, 2, 3. Then here on this first treble, that's positioned there, you're going to start there your first single crochet. Remember, don't accidentally work in the chain space. You really want to go into that stitch. You can see if I just pull it open, you can see this little position there. That's the top of the stitch. And that's single crochet number 1 of, again, 21, which will bring you to this side. And then you do another corner. So everything I've just done, do this on all your other edges also. And when you get here, you're going to work that last single crochet, then chain 3, and then close here on this first stitch on that half double with a slip stitch. You can cut your yarn, because we're going to use a new color in the next round. Round 16, new color yarn on my hook. I'm going to start in the corner space. Start there by making a single crochet. So in that chain 2 corner, just punch your hook in there, make a single crochet, chain 2, followed by another single crochet in the same space. That's your new corner made. We're going to work a single crochet on each of the next 4 stitches. So those are these stitches here, and especially this first one, that one there. Don't accidentally miss it. That first stitch. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 single crochets. Next you're onto the chain space, the chain 3 space, and there you make 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Just going to space them a little bit evenly in that space. Going to continue on the straight edge and make 21 single crochets. So that's 1 on each single crochet you already have here. So in that first stitch, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 21. There you go. Now work 21 single crochets here along this edge. Onto a chain 3 space again. Now it won't surprise you that you're going to do 3 single crochets in that space. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm just going to space them a little bit because you want this, you just want this nice and even. You now have 4 stitches left before you get to the next corner. I'm going to do a single crochet in each of those, and especially this first one here. That's a bit of a tricky one. This is a half double, and that half double in connection with that chain stitch can be really hard to get into. So you see, there's the stitch, and just try to get your hook in there. Did I? Yes. You see how it's in there? That's where you want it. So that half double can be a bit tricky to get into. And then followed by 3 more on the 3 singles. And 3. Onto the chain space, the chain 2 corner space. Here you make a new corner. Single crochet, chain 2, and another single in the same space. And this corner here is exactly the same as the corner we just started with. That means everything you've just done along this first edge, repeat that on your other 3 edges also, and close here on your first standing stitch with a slip stitch. Next round has the same color, so don't cut your yarn. Round 17, we're still going to use the same color yarn. Currently in a single crochet, we're just going to go to the chain 2 space with a slip stitch. So now you're in the actual corner space, in the chain 2 space. I'm going to start with the chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a half double crochet, that's your chain 2, and another chain 2 for your corner. And then make another half double in the same space. That's your new corner. Now I'm going to start the repeat unit. Skip the first stitch and then work a half double in every stitch. This is actually a very relaxing round. So I'm just going to skip the very first stitch. It's going to be that stitch. Then go to the second, your first half double, and then continue and work a half double on every stitch till you're to the other side. Just a few last stitches, and this is the last half double. So I've worked one on every stitch except for the first one. Onto the chain 2 corner, your corner stitch there. I'm going to do a new corner, so that's a half double, chain 2, and then another half double again, like so. That's your new corner made. I'm going to do exactly the same on this edge as the previous one. That means we're skipping the first stitch. It's going to be that stitch, skip that stitch, and then go to your second stitch and work a half double, and then again one on every stitch, and continue all the way around. You're going to do this on your other 3 edges also. You can see here I've started the next edge. So you're going to go all the way around, and when you get here to the beginning, close on your chain, on the second chain stitch, because you've got 4 chain stitches here. You need that second one because that's your half double. So after the last half double, close with a slip stitch on your second chain stitch. Round 18, last round of this part. Start in the corner, now chain 2 corner space. I'm going to start in there with a standing half double crochet. Followed by a second half double, chain 2, and then 2 more half doubles in the same space. That is your first corner made. So 2 half doubles, chain 2, 2 half doubles. Now I'm going to work on the long edge and make a back post double crochet on every stitch. So from the back around the post, and then do a double crochet. And you're going to do that on every stitch. And you might experience this as time consuming. It's true. This is a stitch that does take some time, but the result is a lovely edge, and please do take the time to make this, because you're really going to be happy that you did. You see how you're tipping these stitches forward and you're getting that nice little edge there. So I'm going to work a back post double crochet on every stitch. You get to a corner, in the chain 2 corner space, work 2 half doubles, chain 2 and 2 half doubles. Do that all the way around, and you get here to your first stitch. The first stitch here, close on that stitch with a slip stitch. When you've done the last round and you've worked away all your yarn tails, this is what your Charlotte looks like at the end of part 1. You've made the flower petals, you've made the area around it, and you've squared it all up again. You'll notice that your Charlotte is still a little higher in the center than it is here on the outside. You can actually push it inward so it's raised above the table. If you look at it from the back, you can also see these stitches here, they fall inward, and so this raised effect, that's normal. That belongs with the design of this pattern. So at this point I would suggest blocking your square, because you can see, especially with the yarn that I've used, that it is a little wobbly here. So just to get it all nice and straight and even, block your square, and then you're ready if you want to extend her even further for part 2.